What's up, welcome back. I'm John Stark from MacTheMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and today it's Talking Oscars. It's the day of the week where I do Talking Oscars. I'm going back through my predictions and re-upping them, giving them a little bit of a refresh. And this is Best Actor. Last week I did Best Actress. Next week will be Supporting Actress. Uh, so yes, I do listen to other people and formulate and look at things. So do they. They admit that they look at things like Gold Derby and Awards Expert and stuff like that. So, they or Variety and Hollywood Reporter, you try to see the trends, and being aware of awards in general. That's kind of how I do this. So, what do I think is who's getting nominated? How much has changed? I have changed a lot. This category got Fuber. No, it's an A. Fubard. I wanted to spell it and then do it Fubard, and I couldn't spell Fubar. That's how screwed this category got for me. So I've changed a lot of opinions. Although the first time around, I'm not changing all my predictions. It was like Timothy Chalamet, Jeremy Allen White, Dwayne Johnson, George Clooney, and Colin Farrell, I believe, are my last five. Because I did it like right around Telluride. And Colin Farrell was getting really good notes coming out of Ballad. No, I've seen Ballad of a Small Player. I don't even want to talk about him. I don't even want to talk about that movie. I love Edward Berger, but no. So yeah, I think the categories changed a lot. So who I have a completely new number one, and it's a new number one. There are some people who are going to be bitching about like some other people, right? They're going to be talking about, is it Timmy's year, right? I'm on a completely different plane. I think it's Wagner Moura's year. I think Wagner Moura for The Secret Agent. He got the note at Cannes. It's been a hot minute since we've given an actor from an international film. I do think Timothy Chalamet is a little young. I'm not sure that Marty Supreme is going to be a juggernaut this year. And I think Wagner Moura could come through as a big international play from Neon, a studio that is putting all of its resources into pushing international cinema this year. So, like I got a screener package from Neon, and they didn't even include Life of Chuck. I already have the screener for The Secret Agent, but they didn't even give me Life of Chuck, which is like available on Hulu, I think. So, question mark. Just feels like a weird play for these early awards. Like, do you just not want to see Mark Hamill recognized anywhere, even in the early awards? So, yeah, they obviously want Wagner Moura to get some traction and for some people to see his performance. I think he's my top choice right now for this category and for the win for The Secret Agent. I think Secret Agent is probably going to get international and actor. I don't think it gets into picture. I think Neon's going to get a different combination of international films into picture. But who else is getting in? So yes, I think in number two I have Timothy Chalamet for Marty Supreme. I do think he's going to get in, and he's probably the other one that I'd look out for this season in terms of who's going to win some awards. Like I don't think Wagner Moore is going to win SAG, so it's going to go to somebody else. And last year Timothy Chalamet won SAG. It may not even go to him, but I think this is going to be a year where the actor race is not as obvious. I think actress will go to one person the whole way through. I think supporting actor could go to one person all the way through. But I think actor is going to keep flipping between like a couple different people. So Chalamet could win Critics' Choice, or SAG or Golden Globe. Although Wagner Moore is more likely to win. But Chalamet is competing in comedy at Golden Globe, so actually they could both win. So they're my top two. So who else runs out this category? Okay. So, let's discuss. I'm just going to throw out some names and we're going to talk about them. I'm not going to tell you who my last three are right away, right up at the top. So last time I had Dwayne Johnson in for The Smashing Machine. I still feel pretty good about this. I would love to see A24 doing more with him and for him to feel like he's still like a presence in award season. I think they may be waiting to see if he gets any additional nominations of these early awards from critics groups, if he gets any mentions. I don't buy the fact that because his film didn't do well box office wise that he's not getting a nomination. A24 just doesn't produce $100 billion movies. So for A24, it didn't do much different than a lot of other A24 movies did, and it did about the same domestically at the box office that The Apprentice did, which got Sebastian Stan an Oscar nomination. So I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that Dwayne still gets in. George Clooney for Jay Kelly, I also don't think it's out of the realm of possibility for him. I think uh, George's biggest competition is probably Joel Edgerton from Train Dreams. If Train Dreams starts to gain steam and Netflix starts putting more resources behind him for Best Actor, I think George Clooney will end up slipping out because Joel Edgerton feels like the most likely nominee from Train Dreams, whereas George Clooney doesn't feel like Jay Kelly feels like Adam Sandler is. So if Jay Kelly becomes a strong contender for them, stronger than Train Dreams, like the number two behind Frankenstein, I think Clooney might have a chance here. But he's very much sort of like on the fringe. Um, some other people that we've talked about, like Brendan Fraser, I don't think he's out of this. Um, I would love to see Will Arnett. I'm so excited to see Is This Thing On, but I just don't think that that's going to happen for him unless that film needs audience support. Is This Thing On needs to be one of those like As Good as It Gets, Something's Got to Give type of movies where the audience support uh, where it wins over audiences to the point where it's the hidden figures or whatever. We have those films that they get in and they're not necessarily the critical darling, but it feels like audiences really love them. And they're also not obvious blockbusters like Wicked and Sinners and Avatar and stuff like that. So I wouldn't say he's completely out of the race, but he's probably like 10th for this. There's Jesse Plemons for Begonia. I don't think he's a viable contender here. There's uh, uh, I'm going through studios in my head. Hugh Jackman for Song Song Blue isn't picking up any note really. It's all Kate Hudson for that film. Any conversation around that film seems to hinge entirely upon Kate Hudson's performance. I suppose no other choice. Lee Jung Ye, I don't. I'm sorry. Could get in. Two international contenders. I don't know. In the same, I think we're getting a lot of international nominees. I don't know that they're going to dominate all the categories though. We're going to end up having like one in every category because we'll get one in like I think one in probably every category. So, but I think Wagner has the better shot here. Uh, I think. Uh, I'm trying to think if there are any. There are some of them I'm trying to avoid right now that I know, and you're like, what about so and so? It's like I'm getting to them. Um, but my brain has died. Oscar Isaac is not happening for Frankenstein. Um, who else would be inspired nominations? I can't think of anything else. I mean, Wicked doesn't have a lead actor. Begonia doesn't have a lead actor. I mean, not Begonia. Wicked and Hamlet doesn't have a big lead actor. I was thinking of Focus Features when I said Begonia instead. Uh, yeah, they're just so we get to the Warner Brothers of it all, right? So I'm giving two spots away. Is it possible that both Michael B. Jordan and Leonardo DiCaprio, that Warner Brothers can run campaigns to get them both in? Like, I didn't really think either one of them were going to get in, but as the category continues to shape up and the performances continue to shake out and shake around and move in and out, it's possible. Like, I'm not going to say no. I The problem that I have with both is that Sinners, I don't think is necessarily, doesn't feel like it has to have actors that come along with it in order to be an awards juggernaut for them. But when you think about like who does it feel like has to be nominated from that? It feels like Michael B. Jordan, right? Because he played two different characters. I feel like he's overdue for a nomination. Um, and then you have DiCaprio, but DiCaprio has missed out the last two times that his film has been up for Best Picture. He wasn't nominated for Don't Look Up, and he wasn't nominated for Killers of the Flower Moon. So the Oscars have no problem leaving him out of the race. Um, and since I definitely don't think Jeremy Allen White is happening anymore for Springsteen Deliver Me from Nowhere, because that film just has like zero support from anywhere. And he didn't even get this kind of praise that Dwayne Johnson did for his performance. So his work isn't even at like a same level. There's some people who don't think he was a great Springsteen. Whereas at least most people who didn't like, uh, the Smashing Machines still liked Dwayne Johnson's performance in it. So I think there's space that's opening up for both of them, which I wouldn't have said a while ago, which is why neither one of them are here. Um, but I think we're opening up the space. So that's what I wanted to get to, was the conversation about, can both Warner Brothers actors get in? Can they run strong enough campaigns for two of the biggest contenders this year that will get them both nominations? Sure, why not? I mean, I don't feel like that there's a super obvious loss here to the category otherwise. I feel like the only must-haves right now are like Timothy Chalamet and Wagner Moura. I don't feel like, when you look at the other films, a lot of them are female driven, or they just don't have acting plays like Frankenstein, or their acting play may just not happen, like George Clooney for J. Kelly. Could just be an Adam Sandler thing. Jesse Eisenberg didn't get in last year for Real Pain. That didn't stop Kieran Culkin from getting in for Real Pain. So, yeah, I'm willing to slot two people I didn't slot last time, which is DiCaprio and uh, Michael B. Jordan. Yeah, I'm definitely dropping Colin Farrell and Jeremy Allen White out of my predictions, which would leave me between, am I keeping George Clooney or am I keeping Dwayne The Rock Johnson? And right now I'm keeping Dwayne The Rock Johnson. I'm still going to lean in on that. I think he's got a shot. And I think, yeah, I think it just depends on his campaigning and his willingness to do so, and him being sort of ubiquitously everywhere. If he feels like he's been defeated already, which I feel like Julia Roberts for After the Hunt, I don't think she's going to go hard for that, because I think she kind of is reading the room, and it's a waste of time for her. She's not, like, at best, she gets a Golden Globe nomination. Too many people just don't like After the Hunt, and she's been nominated before. There's not a whole ton of reason to get her into a really competitive category. But with the actor race, the only huge spoiler that I think that could happen here is Joel Edgerton for Train Dreams, and that depends on the acceptance of Train Dreams and how a lot of people have turned to that, going, what's happening with Train Dreams, Um, I've seen, I even try to look at some other like Train Dreams is She films that might be late stage players. Like Netflix has Goodbye June, which is Kate Winslet's directorial debut, but that's like female led. That's literally like Kate Winslet and Toni Collette and Helen Mirren. Again, I don't think there's a lead actor in that movie. Um, So I don't know who shakes up the race here. I don't know who changes status quo in this. Like Daniel Craig for Wake Up Dead Man. Like, I feel like we're scraping to try to find. Testament of Anne Lee doesn't have a lead actor. Um, so a lot of these films just have an absence of a lead actor. They have the actress race stacked. Actor race, not so much. Actor race has more of a potential to close the gap a lot earlier, and is not quite as interesting as some of the other races are this year. It feels a little bit like supporting actress, where there isn't quite an obvious choice, or people have fallen away, and now the people who keep saying Amy Madigan don't look maybe as crazy as they did a couple months ago. So even The Plague, if The Plague picked up, for the people who have seen The Plague and know that that film is excellent, if somehow IFC was to manage a campaign for that movie and late in the stage, its lead is a child, that would be inspired, but I don't think it's going to happen. So I can't. I those are my five. There's nothing else that I feel extremely moved by. Some things I'm paying attention to. I would say Clooney, Edgerton, Arnett, Lee Jung Jae, whose name I feel like I'm going to keep butchering throughout all of awards season. Like maybe. I think those are probably the strongest maybes. Um, if Begonia really holds on, maybe Jesse Plemons could surprise. As an outside chance, I've heard he's really good in Begonia. I haven't gotten a chance to see it yet. So yeah, uh, that's it. I think that's kind of where the category ends. As far as like like weird inspired nominees, like outside of, is this a year where we get like a Johnny Depp from Pirates of the Caribbean coming out of like a mainstream movie, right? Was there some like iconic? Could this be like a Ryan Reynolds and Deadpool? Like if he had done something this year and was, I don't think there's a film like that. And if they were female. I think if you're looking at from one of those performances this year from something that was a major hit, that would like elevate maybe Brad Pitt from F1, but I just don't think that that's going to be his performance. There's nothing that really reshaped the race in a profound way. That was a role, that was a leading male role in a film, other than Michael B. Jordan. I think he answers that question. So if you're asking your question, like who comes from a popular movie and and sneaks in here, I think it's Michael B. Jordan. So it just kind of solidifies his place in the race. So some people I wasn't willing to put in earlier, I am now. Um, Thanks to the failure of some other films, and I'm even pushing Dwayne to the fifth spot. I felt a lot better about him earlier, but now he's my fifth place most vulnerable. So thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. I'll see you guys on the other side.